very beautiful. And it's that also not, I mean, I have a friend who lives in Turkey, so we've been to Turkey a few times, and we've travelled sort of really far east, and I've bought a couple of, amulets, which I just bought them because I thought they were really beautiful. I didn't really know what they were, and I suppose, I feel I can do this work because I'm detached slightly from any of those belief systems, so I can produce, my own mythology. And I think they're lovely, and I'm happy to recreate them, but not as a copy, more as a piece of artwork. Yeah, thanks. That was a good question.
I think it's interesting, Jane. It's not a question. It's like the thing when you're talking about it, you're talking about the way you almost collect information, which I never realised before, even though I've worked with you, to the same degree as the way you collect stuff like I do. I mean, and Jane really does collect a lot of stuff and really don't throw. But it's almost like you have to live with the ideas you're learning about the same way you're living with the objects that you have around you. And then it's almost like a spark, or the intuition comes together.
It is.
And that's why sometimes it's difficult to say why you made that piece.
Yeah.
It's very organic, it became.
It is.
But it's the information
It's
for
the
me
feeding. It's the
personally,
feeding in.
feeding
All
of
of
the
that feeds
information
in.
alongside the collecting part of it. That kind of when it marries, that's when your work starts.
That's absolutely right, Paula. It is. I have to know that through all the information I gather, that what I'm doing when I'm putting these objects together has some basis in that information.
Yeah.
It does have to sort of feed in.
Because for me, sometimes I'll make something and then I want to find out about maybe an object that I've used to make it. Do you know what I mean? Go off afterwards.
Yeah. There is that as well. I mean, I often make something and it might be a year or two later. Because I would say that all of the work that I make is really, my life and my artwork are just so completely interconnected that I can, like the pink cage, I can look at that and I can see, I know at that time that I was feeling pretty shit, I was really, really in a low place. And I didn't realise that till maybe 2-3 years later when I actually sort of came out of that. So work can also be quite cathartic for me as well. I think I've actually moved beyond it being cathartic very recently, and I just make what I want to make. I don't really, I have spent a lot of time, reading about what's contemporary and what contemporary people do, and as I say, I've collected quite a lot of film which I've never edited, and I've discovered I really hate sitting at the computer, to be honest with you, and that I like to do things with my hands. I like to be working. I like to be reading. I don't mind reading stuff on the computer, but editing film is just the most tedious, boring thing. And so I just think, well, forget it. That's not me. That's not what I do. But you would spend hours painting a toy black. Yeah. Well, yes.
So there's an interesting. You've kind of found your own journey through all this stuff. You've found your own journey through political stuff, personal stuff, psychological stuff, religious stuff, and I think that was one of the observations I kind of had about Grayson Perry's show at the British Museum. He approached the collection from the point of view as an artist. He found things interesting. He was excited by things, and I'm sure a lot of historians or anthropologists were quite irritated by his take on it, because it didn't fit with
their taxonomy,
your traditional system narrative of these things. And I think that's what you've kind of told us today, in the way that you collect from pagan religion to environmentalism to whatever. But you're not an environmentalist, you're not
an anthropologist,
a priest, or a
no.
You're an artist.
I'm an artist, and I think actually Grayson Perry, that kind of certainly helped to consolidate that way of thinking for me, because that's what he said, you know, that's what he said, I'm an artist and I just, you know, I cherry pick kind of.
And I think, you know, the point about looking at your art as a viewer is that you are not telling people what to think. You're not telling them about this is what you should do because of sharks being killed every year. But you're making artworks which draw upon that information. It's up for people to make their own mind. Sometimes people will come to it and they'll miss the point, or they'll think something completely different standing in front of your work than you think.
Yes.
So sometimes people don't get it, but that's the job of art. It goes out into the world and it's open to misinterpretation.
And in a way, it doesn't matter if it's misinterpreted, because that it's what every individual sort of takes from a piece of work. I mean, you know, I certainly would like, I tend to not read a label. I'll have a look at a piece of work and try and sort of think what it means to me. And then if I can't really fathom it, I might look at the label then, because that might, and sometimes it says untitled, which is really annoying. And I'll try and, and I'll then think, oh, right, I understand. Because I think that's the beauty of a crit. When we've done crits in our studio group, you know what you think you want that piece of work to say, but when your fellow artists come and look at it and they see different things, that can be really enriching. Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Oh yeah. Or it can be, oh God, that's not really what I wanted it to say, so I need to make some changes to it. And that's invaluable, I think, for a studio group.
So can I just ask you, do you actually make your pieces then with the viewer in mind? So as you're making your pieces, are you thinking how the viewer might respond to it? Or do you make your piece because it's...
I don't care what the viewer thinks, I'm afraid. I make it for me. I make it for, you know, that's what I want to say. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if the viewer likes it, that's bonus, really.
So you would make to not necessarily exhibit and things like that, you just make because it's something you're an artist and you like to make?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I will, and I do exhibit. But I mean, I would say, as I say, each piece of this work is like the tip of an iceberg. Because there's lots and lots and lots of things. There's lots of things I never show. My husband was having a look through some photographs that I did from the Skeleton project the other night. And he was like, wow, some amazing stuff in here. Which just, you do that as an artist. I think you know what you think you want to put out there. But if somebody else came in and made a choice of work that they wanted to show, it would be quite different, really. So no, I've abandoned the idea of trying to make things that people want me to make. I've had a period of time when I had really, really bad press. And it was when I was making that Big Cage and other things as well, where I had work censored. It wasn't in a gallery, it was in a public space, and it was incredibly crushing and hurtful. But, you know, got over it. And also I think the world's moved on now. I think, you know, lots more artists use tools, and it's not seen as being quite such a dreadful thing to do as it was at one time. So no, I make work for myself. I make what I like to make, which I think is how it should be if you're an artist, really.
Hello. It's the motivation, isn't it, I suppose, that, you know, it's sometimes the exhibition is a motivation for some people.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have to say that when Emma came and asked me about this exhibition, I must have been in the doldrums for quite a while. I should have been putting in proposals to exhibit work, and I hadn't, and it's been lazy, basically. And then Emma came along and said, I really like your work. I was like, wow! Sort of galvanised you instantly. And actually, when I came down to see you, and I was asking you what you wanted me to put in, and you were like, oh, you put in what you like. So, oh God, I've got to think about it. Well, that was really good. That was so good, because it really did make me think, how do I bring a bunch of quite disparate pieces of work really together? What are the things, that sort of link it all? And especially as there's old work as well as new work. So thanks to you, Emma.
Thanks so much for coming. It's been brilliant. We've loved having you here.
Oh, it's been great to do that, and it's, as I say, it has really galvanised me now to get off my backside
Yeah.
and get some proposals in for some other exhibitions.
Yeah, and we're going to really look forward to following how the work develops. You
Mm.
can see that it will. I mean, I'd love to see, you know, this piece. you know, in
getting
3
bigger.
years' time. Yeah. And the
I'll get a really
as well.
big piece
yeah.
of wood next time.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'll carry on making the trophies. I'm not sure. I may or may not do. I mean, I do have a tendency to be a bit of a butterfly and flip from one thing to another.
I'd love to see them on a larger scale, you know, maybe in a specific place,
Mm.
you know, and I particularly like that piece because it interrupts the space, doesn't it?
It
I'd love to
does,
see that happen
yes.
some more
I mean,
somewhere else.
I had thought about having that on a corridor, so there's only just enough space for you to walk through, really, and therefore make more and more of them. But I've actually started. I have got a few pieces at home that I wanted to put into this exhibition, but I just didn't have the time to finish them off. But I've got a whole series of tree roots at home, waiting to be cleaned off, and they're getting bigger and bigger as well. And I have been offered, you know, some quite big tree roots, and it's the transportation of these things. They get really, really heavy after a while. But anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for coming today.
Thank you.
And if you want to have a look through any of my copious sketchbooks, please do.
Can you take coffee?
Coffee?